Welcome to the AVA Gallery in scenic Lebanon. I'm your host, Elizabeth D'Orazio, and I'm joined by Bente Torjusen, the executive director here, and she's going to share with us a real treat, the amazing history of how the AVA ended up here. Thank you so much, Bente, for joining us. Tell us a little bit about the journey to this wonderful gallery.
Well, it will be my pleasure to tell you about our journey over the course of about 42 years.
Wow.
AVA Gallery was founded in 1973 by a group of local artists, and they had their first exhibition in a barn in Norwich, Vermont. It opened in the summertime, but when it became fall and cold, they figured out that an unheated barn probably was not the best place to be in.
Right.
So they looked for another place, and they moved across the river to Hanover. And AVA then was in Hanover from 1974 to the winter of 1990. Okay. For a number of years, the organization was located on the second floor, just behind Dartmouth Bookstore. And as the organization was becoming more and more a part of the community, it was also clear that we needed more space. We needed separate space for art education. So we also could reach out not only to adults and to practicing artists, but to children and youth. That was also a very important part of it. So it happened that the Dartmouth Bookstore was going to expand, and they told us that we needed to move. And that turned out to be a blessing in disguise for us. That was in the fall of 1989, and I had just been with the organization for a couple of years. So we started looking around in the community. We knew that it was highly unlikely that we could afford Hanover rents. So we started looking around in White River and in Lebanon. And one day a board member came. She said, I have been in Lebanon. There's this big old building, and there was a carpet store in part of the building. And there is space available. We should go and look at that. And so I went together with a couple of artists and board members, and we came here and looked in and saw this amazing space. The building was totally run down, but it had something about it that was very attractive to us. High ceilings, plenty of natural light.
Both musts.
Yes, and some potential for expansion. So, to make a long story short, we decided to rent space here in this building, which is a former H.W. Carter and Sons factory building. It was here, excuse me, it was here that the Carter's famous Carter overalls were made, work clothes. The factory, excuse me, the factory had been in Lebanon since 1870. And throughout the 20th century, it was a thriving workplace, and that had become nationally and I think also internationally known for its products of work clothes. But in the 70s and 80s, business, everything changed, and the factory closed in 1985.
And it took your creative genius with the group of artists to see what this space could do.
So what happened was that then it was bought by a group of investors, and they rented out space to a variety of businesses. And then comes this non-profit arts organization and settles down in Lebanon, and it was very interesting for us. We loved the space from the moment go, but you know, the Upper Valley was different at that time. That's in 1990, 25 years ago. AVA is celebrating 25 years in Lebanon this year.
Congratulations.
But I remember there were people in Hanover said to me, if AVA moves to Lebanon, well, sorry, I won't come there. And there was a man who came in and slammed the door and walked over and said to me, looked straight at me and said, we don't need an art gallery in Lebanon. So, and then there was this wonderful man, the late Dr. Myrick Wood, who lived right across in this beautiful house on the green here. He came one day and said he used to work with the sports teams in the school, and he said, thank you for moving to Lebanon. He said, now the youth of Lebanon have all the opportunities they can to be well-rounded human beings. They have sports now, they will get the culture. So gradually over the years, you know, a lot has happened. I have to jump forward. We managed to buy this building in 2003. And by then it had become more or less a complete arts building. We had rented more and more space, and a number of the large spaces that were wide open before used by the factory had been divided up into individual artist studios. So that there were about 20 artist studios in the building, and there were our gallery spaces and teaching studios. So we bought the building, and it needed help. It was not a very energy efficient building, and it was in many places kind of falling apart, and it didn't meet code compliance, you know, with accessibility and so on. So we had some years where we were raising funds. Community donors were so generous, and we raised $4.5 million and did this fantastic renovation of a building that we are so proud of. It has maintained the feel of the factory, yet it has been upgraded to adhere to the best of contemporary design and building practices.
And it has.
It has.
25 years celebrating the AVA Gallery right here in Lebanon. Something to be proud of, Bente. And I want to thank you for all the work you've done here in bringing art to the community, absolutely enriching this area. So please make sure you check out the AVA Gallery online for their upcoming exhibits. Make sure you come in. This wonderful gem is here for you.